Okay, this is Randy Edwards Williams, granddaughter of Guy Edwards, daughter of Richard and Pat Edwards, and I'm here at our family reunion 2016 Edwards family reunion interviewing Regina Edwards. Hello.
Hello.
So I think I'm gonna move it closer to you for the sound.
Okay.
Regina, you are an Edwards.
I am.
How did you come to be an Edwards?
I am the daughter of Richard Edwards, who was married to Pauline Edwards, maiden name Schaefer, Pauline Schaefer. They met in Columbus back in the 40s. And dad originally from Ironton, mom originally from Jackson, Ohio. And we met here right out of high school. Actually, they were still in high school when they met. And I was born in 1957, December 14th, 1957. At Ohio State University Hospital.
At Ohio State?
Yeah.
I won't boo.
That's right. That's right. Matter of fact, all my siblings, John Jr., Paulette, Brenda, Susan, and Dwight, we were all born at Ohio State.
Okay, did you just name everybody in order of age?
I didn't. I messed up. It's John Jr., we call him Woody, Paulette, then Brenda, then Dwight, and then myself, and then Susan.
Okay. And then I know your dad as Uncle Richard, but he was John Sr.
That's right.
And he was in the line of the 13 Edwards, right?
That's right.
They called him.
Yeah, they called him. He was John Jr., John Sr., but they called him Richard, and people that knew him growing up knew him as Utty.
Etty.
Utty, that was his nickname.
What's
That's what
the
his
story
family.
behind that?
I don't know. I never heard the story, but the family line is, and I won't get this right. Your dad probably did it better justice. Merchant, Isabel. There was one in there that Oscar was actually the oldest. Right. Vivian, Loney, Maggie, Ruth, Addie, Guy, Richard, Homer, Charles, we called Chuckle. Uncle Guy and Dad were right next to each other. And then Uncle Donald. And I don't think I missed anyone. I hope I didn't.
So you've done some family research, tracing it back to Josephine Shannon and Tom Edwards, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what led you to do that and what you found?
I really had an interest in just knowing more about where we came from, more about what we were made up as a people, and because I'm asked that all the time, what are you? What are you made of? So I wanted to know what that was. And the research I found is that Tom Edwards, who was born a slave, born into slavery, I should say, and was sold as a really young boy, came to Ohio on the Underground Railroad, and at 19, yeah, he was 19 years old, and he met Josephine at an inn. Now, what we call an inn, and this is what was found in the 1860 census, was in what at the time was Virginia, what we now know as West Virginia, because Virginia then was one state. Now it's West Virginia and then Virginia. But he was born in Virginia, into slavery, escaped on the Underground Railroad, came through West Virginia, met her, and in the census they list him as a horse handler, and her as a cook, and they met. Josephine was an Irish descendant, came over here in the Irish this potato famine in the 1840s, and she was a little bit older than him. She was like 26 and he was 19. I was pretty surprised at that. But they stayed together. I still can't imagine how they stayed together unless undercover was that, they were just working together. And then they came over into Ohio, into Ironton, which was a free state.
And settled.
And started a family.
That's so deep.
Mm-hmm.
And then you learned a little bit about Laura's family. She's a Jackson?
She's a Jackson, born in Kentucky. Don't really know a lot about Grandma Laurie's family. The pictures I've seen pictures where she was one of, looks like 6 or 7 children, and her family lived in other than what we can imagine is dirt poor. They were very, very poor. But that was the late 1800s. And I'm sure back in Kentucky, 1860, there wasn't a lot to do other than to farm or live off the land. And then I guess they came over into Ironton. Well, she came into Ironton and met Grandpa Frank Edwards.
And then they had children.
And they settled in Ironton, and that's where if not all of them, were raised in Ironton. And Grandpa Frank had sisters. It was pretty interesting that he had sisters, and I don't know if these were nicknames or that was their given name, but I can't imagine their given name was Aunt Duck,
Aunt
Aunt
Duck,
Pig,
Aunt Pig,
and there was an Aunt Ruth, and Aunt Addie also.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there was Aunt Ruth. I know there was an Aunt Addie.
When I interviewed Dad, he did like a little story about favorite stories about aunts and uncles. Do you have anything that when you listened to that you thought of and said, "Oh my gosh, I have one too. I got a good one."
Oh gosh, there are so many, but the one that comes to mind that just popped into my head just now. You know, all of Dad's brothers and sisters, they passed away, and Aunt Ruth and Uncle Donald were the last two that were living. So we would always invite them to Christmas, our Christmas dinner, Christmas get-together, which would be an overnight at somebody's house, and we'd open presents and have dinner and just have fun. And she would Aunt Ruth would pack her bag and she would come along. So one year we decided to go to a hotel, rent a suite,